Well, you might have seen the media report about a Kaitaia Christian school that is closing, and shouting from this article is this statement: Northland school closing as it can't practice conversion therapy. And now it's Kaitaia Abundant Life School. And of course, they immediately paint this picture of conversion therapy. They talk to a UN specialist who talks about LGBT persons enduring severe pain and long-lasting psychological and physical damage. Although, interestingly, when they talk to the spokesperson from the school, the spokesperson talks about unwanted sexual feelings, and also talks about, counselling and the clash of when you have a biological boy wanting to identify as a girl and then going into the girls' toilets, and the safety issue. So there were a whole lot of issues in the story, but of course, One News talks about, conversion therapy and attempting to make someone who is gay straight. Well, is that the whole story? You can probably guess there's much more to the story. So we thought we would go to the source of it, and we would speak to the chair of the Proprietors, who is Ivy Tan. So joining me is Ivy Tan, who is part of the Proprietors. She's the chair of the Proprietors. Ivy, thanks for your time on McBLOG. Can you just explain, just for those who don't understand, for an integrated school, does it need a proprietor to be a sponsor, like a church group, or how does that work?
Yeah, sure. So anyway, it's great to be here. Thanks for this time. So an integrated agreement is to be signed between so for us as proprietors, we're the church,
Yep.
and the government. So that's actually a legal contract and document. And it basically says that it's a partnership, it's a treaty kind of thing. So it basically says that we'll be overlooking and overseeing the special character for the school and ensuring that that stays on track. And the government will help with support around systems, resources, and things to make that happen, to ensure that the students are still getting, an academic education. Yeah.
Okay. And Kaitaia Abundant Life School's been going, 30 years?
Yes. So we got started in 1988, and we signed our integrated agreement, though, with the government in 1996. And so that basically said, let's do that together. That was actually agreement that happened, but of the last few years, it's becoming more, let's do this my way. So in terms of the Ministry of Education. So the connection that we've had with the Ministry of Education has been in a downward slide in terms of upholding that partnership, if I can say it that way. And basically we've had to stand true to what it is that we said we would do, because it is a legal document. And so nothing's changed from what we've been doing since 1996, since we signed that agreement. We've still done what we said we would do.
So what do you identify as a downward slide? What specifically is the school struggling to meet in terms of pressure from the ministry?
Yeah, I think here's the thing with the integrated agreement, our role is to uphold the special character of the school. And that's actually what we signed with the ministry, and we said we would do that. The downward slide, the new demands that have been made. And when I say new demands, it's always been a partnership that we've had to negotiate. So it's nothing new. So we've had, looking at our core values, ensuring that what we can align with, we do align with the Ministry of Education, but there's some things that are direct conflict to our core values. And so with the downward slide, we've seen now, as of last year, the recent law changes with the conversion therapy practices, and that now being made law. Our integrated agreement ensured that we could protect our students in terms of saying, hey, we offer a Christian education, that's not been hidden anywhere. And the parents who bring their children here have said, we want a Christian education. So for us to actually say, hey, we offer Christian education, and then behind the scenes, we're doing something else. One, that's not integrity with our parents who are saying that's what we want. Two, not integrity with our own core values. And also the third thing, not integrity with the Ministry of Education, for us to go on and pretend that we're going to be submitting ourselves to these new law changes. And it's not just the new law changes. There's the health curriculum that's, you've done extensive work around this and ensuring that parents in New Zealand know what has been offered to their children in the state system. But now that's starting to impact on other special characters schools. So we're not the only school dealing with having to navigate this. I think we are the first school that come out the gate to make that conclusion, to say, you know what, we're going to have to uphold before God our integrity, and also with the Ministry of Education to say we're not going to pretend that we're offering an education that they think we're rolling out in terms of these values that are direct conflict with our biblical worldview as Christians. And so
Okay,
we've come to the table to
so
say
let's
that.
deal with the elephant in the room. The One News coverage is shouted Northland School closing because you can't practice conversion therapy. Is that why you're closing?
Yeah, look, I'm not surprised that they've made that put the magnifying glass, the light on that, because that is the narrative they're putting the light on in every other sector. So it's no shock that that's the only thing that they see. It's a shame, but it's I think the thing is that we're here to protect our students, and really that's the bottom line. And when we're saying one thing, we're doing another. That is nothing but confusing for our students, and we've never done that, and we're not going to start doing that. So for us, that's one of many. When I say a downward slide, we're talking about the content and the health curriculum that they're now bringing in. It's appalling. You don't even need to be of the Christian faith. Any common New Zealander who would look at this thing and actually say, you know what, I don't want my 7-year-old being taught all this stuff about sex, or even a 5-year-old. What we would call sex, but actually it's explicit. And what they're wanting to bring towards our students, nationwide. So these are the beginnings of many things. Before we've been able to negotiate this, but with the recent law changes now, if we counsel a student, and here's the thing, we've had students in the past that have had unwanted sexual, feelings towards the same sex. So it's not a new thing. It's not something that we freak out about thinking, oh my goodness, no, like anything, any student who needs help with whatever, whether it's a sexuality thing, whether it's, I don't know, anything that they're facing, we don't put it in a box and put it up on the shelf where we say, look, we can help you with everything, but we can't help you with this. And so with the recent law changes, basically for us, it would mean that for students who would come to us with that, we'd have to say, actually, no, we can't talk about that. I'm very sorry that I know you're asking for that help, but we can't, according to this, the Act means that it is illegal to counsel students regarding gender dysphoria in a way that affirms biology. Whether you're a parent, whether you're a teacher, there's some serious repercussions around that now. So.
And I noticed in the interview you actually said that, and I think people picked that up, that you used the example of a biological boy who's now identifying as a girl, and you were concerned about safety issues in the girls' toilets. The media didn't really want to acknowledge that concern, but that is a genuine concern you hold, isn't it?
Yes, and I think it's about common sense as well. I think somewhere along the way we chucked out common sense. We want to set up everyone for success. If you have a student that is facing unwanted sexual, feelings to the same sex, why are you going to put them in a position that may, jeopardize not only another student, but themselves? So, I think it's quite sad that we what's the word? Like putting these people who are having different experiences in boxes that are untouchable to have a discussion around to help them with. I think it's very sad.
So, I mean, closing down the schools, that's quite a major thing to do. How has the community responded?
Yes, it's been a very big process, and and to get to the end of that, what has made it easier is that we've consulted with not only our board of trustees, but also the parents within our school, staff as well. And we did a thorough, really presented to them, these are the new demands that we're facing as proprietors, and it's our role, it's a legal document for us to uphold. Now this was the amazing thing, is that the question was brought to, should we compromise our special character, our faith? And there was a resounding, no, we don't want to compromise our faith, a special character, even if. And I know that you've talked a bit about the even if, and that was really the loud resounding call that came out, even if it meant that we were no longer able to operate and bring a Christian education in this kind of vehicle. If it meant that, we wanted to stand true to what God's called us to. And so that really made that easy. That made that decision a whole lot more easy, knowing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Minister of Education Jan Tinetti, who, I mean, she oversaw the change of birth certificates so that it's not based on biology anymore. So that doesn't give you a great lot of confidence about her. But she said, look, it's your school's job to look after the well-being of all students, regardless of sexuality. And I guess you could add gender confusion. What's your response to that?
I think she's absolutely right. But here's the thing, how is it going to be your role if you're restricted by not being able to talk about it?
Hmm.
I think that's exactly it. And that's what this conversion therapy has brought about. It's really cut off that ability for students to get help, who may want help, who wants clarity around, hey, I'm feeling these feelings. Because like I said, it can be a common thing that, you know, students can face these things. But if they come to a place where they can't talk to anybody about it, or those who are a part of their training, education and things like that, even parents, are not able to engage in that conversation, I think that's very restricting and it's very
Yeah.
sad.
And in terms of other schools, I mean, do you think I think you mentioned it earlier, breaking new ground? Is this something we're going to see with other schools as push comes to shove and schools have to start to compromise their special character?
I do, and I know that I think it's more helpful when you've seen the first lot of people go through to do something that hasn't been done before. I think it can give a lot of courage, and maybe even reaching out for, hey, how did you do that? What does that look like? You know, those kind of things can happen. But each school is going to have to navigate for themselves, and so we're not here in a position to say, hey, you guys should do what we're doing. I think before God, you do the thing that you signed up to do, and as long as you're doing that and you feel you know what I mean? That's for them to decide. But for us, we're really clear on what we've signed up for. We're really clear on the integrated agreement. And so nothing's changed for us. We've been clear since 1996 on what we signed in that partnership. So for us, nothing's changed. But for us, it's just really following through and again saying, you know, with integrity,
So,
we're not going to do false advertising.
right. So you're saying that you're not closing down because you can't do conversion therapy. You're having to close down because you cannot carry out the special character of teaching biblical truths, biblical sexuality, challenge critical theory, all those types of things that are being shoved down schools' throats at the moment.
Yes, that's right. It's a lot bigger than that, than conversion therapy.
Mm.
And I think when you're hitting on core values, you know, for us, obviously, it's a Christian school, the core values of a Christian school. There'll be other integrated schools that have different core values to us. When it hits on your core values, you got to stop and ask yourself, am I doing what I'm meant to do? And the core values is what helps us to stay aligned. And for us, it's our faith statement,
Mm.
which is our constitution. And that's been the thing. You know, it doesn't matter. Man's opinions come and go. They change depending on the tide. But God's word doesn't. And so that's been an awesome plumb line for us because that's just one area of challenge. But as you know, in life, we've got loads of areas.
Mm.
And as long as we stay true to what we said we're going to do, which we are, then we can't go wrong.
So just finally, people watching this may say, well, you know, you've got 200 kids, you've got them 5 days a week. You can have huge influence on them. Is it worth sacrificing all that and maybe sending them off to the local state school where those values aren't going to be taught? You know, is it worth sacrificing all that? What's your response to that?
Yeah, I think that's a fair enough question. I had four students, not from here, but they're actually in another country. I won't say the country, but that I actually got to talk to in December, and I had no idea that they had gone to a very prestigious Christian school, a very wealthy area, and about 3 years ago, their school faced what we're facing. And they basically bended and compromised and said, you know what, we'll still do what we're doing. And so of today, the 16-year-old, so this is one family, but the 16-year-old, the youngest one, couldn't bear to go back to school. They're looking at the values of Christianity being portrayed, and it brings confusion. And here's the thing, you know, they've got now students in their class that, you know, identify themselves as gay or lesbian or whatever. But they're finding the compromise that's been had with the teachers where they're pulling up them on things they wouldn't pull these guys up on because, what they would go to was saying, oh, you're only saying that to me because I'm gay or I'm lesbian, you're picking on me. And so what that's done, and the climate and the culture of the school has taken a real plummet downline. It was sad to hear because I do know of the school and I knew it's very prestigious and amazing school, but it just goes to show you what can happen with that decline, even with a, you know, just a slight, just allow the door open a little bit, and what that can mean for others. And so in terms of offering a Christian education, it is what it is. But when we start going down that road, it looks like, hey, how about a good values school?
Mm.
Do we just have a good values school, you know, without the God factor? And for us, the God factor is the main factor for us. And that's the reason why we've done what we've done for however many years, you know.
And look,
So,
just finally, I need to ask this question. Probably within 200 students in the school that have gone through over 30 years, there would have been kids who perhaps were gay or perhaps wanted to identify as the opposite sex, wanted to be trans. How have they been dealt with in the school?
yeah, over the years, it's really good. You know, the culture of our school here is whānau. So families are massive. And, you know, like when you have whānau, you can face anything together without being judged, without being ridiculed, but actually, you know, that help in anything. And so we have actually had students who, you know, have had, like I said, have had unwanted, actually, majority of them, and some of them no, but the majority of them have been unwanted, you know, sexual feelings towards the same sex. We're the same. We're here to love. We're here to, you know, like to help guide them, you know, along the way to living life by his design, yeah, so we haven't changed in that, and that doesn't scare us, to tell you the truth. The feeling that our students have had in that is one of acceptance, one of even the open door, being able to talk to a teacher, you know, heart to heart. Hey, I'm still feeling this and that. There's no way that would ever want to squash any student who's going through a trial. And so we've always, yeah, had aroha and wrapped that around. Yeah, it hasn't changed for us. So.
Okay, Ivy, it's been good to do a fact check on the media coverage of this issue. So thank you for clarifying a lot of that. And, you know, we wish the school and the community all the best as they navigate this tricky issue, because as I said, I don't think this will be the first school that may have to go down this road. So all the best. Thanks for your time, Ivy.
Thanks, Bob.